Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. With the discovery of the Great Pyramid North Face Corridor earlier this year, it's no surprise that ancient Egypt became headline news around the world, a much needed boost for a country whose tourism industry has struggled for more than a decade. The Great Pyramid is the shining beacon of the country, the biggest draw for tourists, the most written about ancient monument on the planet. And yet, even in the 21st century, we still don't know everything about it. The discovery of the North Face Corridor was thanks to the work of the ScanPyramids project, a team who in October 2016 named their discovery the Small Void. But what was frustrating for me is that it took 7 years for authorities to send in an endoscopic camera. No holes had to be drilled and no stone was removed. An endoscopic camera was put through a gap that already existed in the masonry. The work was non-destructive. I don't know why such a simple investigation took so long, because authorities didn't even have to confirm it with more muon scans. An endoscopic camera could have been inserted straight away, without any harm to the pyramid, and if they'd done it back in 2016, well, we'd now be 7 years more advanced in our research. We know the ScanPyramids team also found the Big Void, but sadly there is no easy way to get inside. It's around 10 metres above the Grand Gallery and 7 metres from the King's Chamber relieving chambers, and this means that drilling is required. We also don't know the specific orientation and shape of the chamber, so more muon scans do seem like a necessity, so we know exactly where to drill and also in which specific direction. Whether the Egyptian authorities will do this I really don't know, but I don't think it will be anytime soon. But that doesn't mean there is nothing we could be doing. There is still so much exploration that could be taking place inside the pyramid. Exploration that is low difficulty and low cost, and it would also cause no damage to the structure. So, in this video, I'm going to highlight what I consider are 7 relatively easy ways to explore the Great Pyramid. New missions that would either lead to new discoveries, end speculation, or just expand our knowledge. All of them would guarantee more publicity for Egypt, and if the authorities were so inclined, all of them could be done before the end of the year. Number 1. The exterior cavity. On the northeastern edge of the Great Pyramid is this strange platform, and it leads to a crude entrance into the pyramid, like a cave. A number of years ago, Egyptologist Bob Breyer went inside, and what he found was shown in the TV documentary titled The Khufu Pyramid Revealed. On entering into the cavity, Breyer could comfortably stand up. Although crude in many ways, this feature of the pyramid did not look accidental. It looked to be architectural, like it's meant to be there, not a construction error, not created by tomb robbers, and not formed by natural erosion. Inside this small cave, there were relatively large gaps between the limestone blocks, too small for humans to fit through, but larger than what you'd expect with the pyramid's core masonry. By shining a torch through the gaps, Breyer saw that the wide cavities continued on for some distance, and he determined that access was blocked either during or after the construction of the pyramid. The discovery of this cavity on the edge of the pyramid, and the fact it looked to continue on for some distance, was great news for architect Jean-Pierre Houdin, who predicted it in his model of the pyramid's construction. He believes the pyramid had a winding internal ramp, an architectural feature that was used to transport the limestone blocks up the pyramid during construction. According to his work, the ramp should still be there, spiralling all the way to the top, but today it would be covered up by the outer layers of the core masonry. This is a feature of the Great Pyramid we can easily investigate today, and it can be done without drilling or removing stones. just like the north face corridor, we can send in another endoscopic camera and what we could find may be groundbreaking. We may find conclusive evidence for how the Great Pyramid was built. We might even find artifacts and graffiti left by the builders, more material to radiocarbon date, and this could clear up the age of the pyramid once and for all. This is a project that could be done right now, so why it's taken well over a decade is beyond me. Number 2. The Thermal Anomaly. At ground level on the eastern side of the Great Pyramid is a major thermal anomaly, and when it was discovered in 2015, it led to a press conference at the pyramid. The anomaly was 6 degrees warmer than the blocks surrounding it, indicating there is a possible cavity at ground level. Also, compared to the standard core masonry, here we can see the arrangement of the blocks does look quite different. It stands out as an anomaly. Furthermore, there is also this linear feature in the ground, and it leads straight up to the thermal anomaly. Looking on Google Earth, and the linear feature also looks to be paved. Therefore, it's not impossible we're looking at another entrance into the pyramid, maybe related to the Great Pyramid's construction. As stated, according to Jean-Pierre Houdin, there is an internal ramp on the inside outer edge of the pyramid. To gain access, this would require an entrance at ground level, so maybe this anomaly is exactly that, the entrance into the internal ramp. Looking at this specific area of the pyramid, and some of the masonry gaps do look large enough to insert an endoscopic camera, and even if they're not, a small drill hole could reveal what the thermal anomaly actually is. This is relatively easy work, causing minimal damage to the pyramid, and the potential findings would not just make headline news around the world, but it could tell us how the Great Pyramid was constructed. But it is worth saying, both the thermal anomaly and also the linear feature that runs up to it could just be a natural fracture in the limestone bedrock, which could widen underneath the eastern side of the pyramid. Either way, it's now been 8 years since the press conference, and as far as we know, no work has been done. We're no closer to getting to the bottom of the mystery. Number 3. The Queen's Chamber Northern Shaft Door. Pyramid Rover was a mission to explore the Queen's Chamber northern and southern shafts. It happened 21 years ago, in 2002, and it was the first time the northern shaft had been explored in its entirety. The great finding from this mission was the fact there was a door at the end of the shaft, just like the one found in the southern shaft by Rudolf Gantenbrink years earlier. As we know, there is nothing behind that door, and I do predict the same for the one in the northern shaft. It's my personal belief that this doorway could mark the edge of the original architectural plan for the pyramid, a pyramid that was built by order of King Khufu, but also enlarged by the same king at a later date. If I'm wrong, well, the shaft could well be an architectural feature, a way to ventilate the pyramid to aid the builders. Or, as Jean-Pierre Houdin believes, they could be a way for the builders to communicate across the building site. They could have been blocked up during construction after the Queen's Chamber was complete. Whatever the purpose of the shafts, we still do need to see what's behind the second door, and so what's required is another small robot equipped with a drill and endoscopic camera. No, in my opinion, I don't think anything will be found. I just think there'll be another small cavity, and then the core masonry of the pyramid, just like with the southern shaft. But yes, I could be wrong, and so it is something that should be done so we can know for sure. The second door was discovered more than 20 years ago, and since then nothing has been done. So, what are we waiting for? Number 4. Sibson's Window. In 2021, I was able to acquire 51 images from inside the Queen's Chamber northern shaft, and amazingly, these images had never been published before. A sad truth in the study of the Great Pyramid, and so I'm very pleased that the video I released has been watched nearly 700,000 times in 2 years. The strength of that video alone shows what Egyptian authorities are missing. The low-resolution pictures have been collecting dust for 20 years, and nobody ever thought to publish them. If I hadn't worked to find them, I can honestly say they would never have been published. And yet, nearly 700,000 people have watched the video to see a part of the pyramid never shown to the public before. That's how much interest there is in this great structure, and it's why I firmly believe that all pictures, video and data from the pyramid, from the past, present and the future, should be freely available to the public. Not only would it encourage new lines of research, but it would also encourage new tourism into the country. Here I have to thank the Jedi Rover team of 2011, who gave me 8 hours of raw video footage that was collected by their robot from the Queen's Chamber southern shaft. Yes, it is a tough watch, and no, it's not the greatest resolution, but it is raw data, and it's freely available on YouTube for everyone, just the way it should be. Back to the Queen's Chamber northern shaft, and after the first bend, and just before it bends again, there is a cavity in the shaft wall, and one of my viewers named it Sibson's window after me. For reference, we have a number of upside down U-shaped blocks, and these form the roof and the walls of the shaft. I call these the roof blocks. Then we have a number of separate blocks that form the floor. Here we can see the junction between 2 roof blocks, and as you can see, there is a clear and obvious cavity. Because of the perspective, the actual shape is hard to see, but it actually looks like this. So, the wall of this roof block has this strange and quite well-defined angular cavity, but interestingly, the floor block also looks to have lines or scratches running across it directly in front of the cavity. And remember, the floor is a separate block. There is also a lot of debris that's running down the shaft, and this looks to begin at the cavity. This could be an important architectural feature. It could be a place where the air shaft splits off, maybe a junction, or alternatively it could just be a defective block. The defect could have been cemented by the pyramid builders, and because of the air and humidity, over the past 4,500 years the cement has simply crumbled, forming the debris pile we see. Right now, all we know is that this is another feature that's easy to explore. A new robot with a light and movable camera would reveal exactly what this feature is. It could be something, and yes, it could be nothing, but we can easily clear up this mystery without any drilling or damage to the pyramid. Number 5. The horizontal corridor. This idea was discussed by Douglas on the History for Granite channel, when he mentioned some invasive drilling that took place in September 1986 in the western wall of the Great Pyramid's horizontal corridor. This drilling was overseen by Gilles Dormian and Jean-Patrice Godin, and, in truth, nothing of interest was really discovered, apart from the fact that a pocket of pure quartz sand was reached by the final drill, and this type of sand is not native to Giza. With a drilling depth of 2.56 metres, the sand was found in the final 40 centimetres, and it could well continue on for some distance. The researchers ran out of time to drill further, and since 1986, no further work has been done. These plugs have been placed into the holes so we can see exactly where the drilling took place. Behind the horizontal corridor, Dormian and Godin believed they would find sealed storerooms. So, by just finding sand, the mission was deemed a failure by Egyptian authorities, even though the presence of quartz sand is an anomaly in itself, and this has never been explained. we still don't know how it got there and how far this sand continues on for. Furthermore, geophysics has also revealed there is a possible corridor-like cavity sitting behind the horizontal passageway, and this is something we do need to clarify. As Douglas at History for Granite says in his video, the plugs that cover the drill holes could be removed and new state-of-the-art soft-bodied robots could be sent in. These robots can tunnel through sand and squeeze through small spaces, and by re-investigating the drill holes in the horizontal corridor, no new drilling is required. The pyramid would not be damaged. We don't know what the robot could reveal, but if the Egyptian authorities use state-of-the-art technology to explore the pyramid, well, that would make headlines in itself. In my opinion, the opportunity is too great to turn down. Number 6. The Queen's Chamber Floor. In the early 19th century, Giovanni Caviglia excavated the floor in front of the niche in the Queen's Chamber. It is said that he excavated down to a depth of 2.5 metres, but according to Howard Weiss, he found nothing but sand and decayed stone. But whilst the excavation was underway, the pyramid was paid a visit by Catholic priest J.N. Vicino, and his account conflicts with that of Howard Weiss. He said, quote, "An excavation under it is presently taking place, and a marble-covered room was already visible." End quote. So, we have one eyewitness account of a possible room beneath the Queen's Chamber, an idea backed up by a georadar survey conducted by Gilles Dormian that shows there could well be a passage below. To get to the bottom of the mystery, we just need to re-excavate the cavity, and if Howard Weiss is correct, well, we know what to expect. But if he wasn't being truthful, we could find the entrance to a previously unexplored corridor or chamber. It's just digging out an old excavation, and if nothing is found, well, we just fill it in. It is a simple task, and it would clear up this Great Pyramid mystery. Number 7. The King's Chamber Floor. Many of you may not know that there used to be a large gaping hole in the northwestern corner of the Great Pyramid King's Chamber. For a time it was covered up by wooden boards, and then a metal grate, and now it's covered with metal sheeting. It's believed the cavity was first dug hundreds of years ago by the treasure-hunting Caliph Al-Mamun, and then widened and deepened in the 19th century by order of Howard Weiss. Looking at these diagrams, and it has an irregular shape, and although the internal dimensions of this cavity are conflicting between different authors, it's thought to be around 4.5 metres or 15 feet in depth. Only 2 photographs of the inside exist, and they are quite peculiar, showing what looks like a relatively modern and crude brick wall, and through this gap I can even see a wooden beam behind it. The brick wall looks to be directly beneath the King's Chamber western wall, and here on the right is the King's Chamber northern wall. Interestingly, the cavity is also directly adjacent to this block in the northern wall of the King's Chamber, a block that is not load-bearing, and according to Jean-Pierre Houdin, this could be a second now concealed entrance into the King's Chamber, leading to a yet undiscovered set of passages in the Great Pyramid. By simply lifting up the metal sheeting, we could easily go back down inside the pit and use photogrammetry to record every detail of the interior. Then an interactive 3D model could be made, and this would tell us exactly what's down there. Even going down using the software on any current iPhone or iPad would give us a decent quality 3D model within minutes. Such work would help us to understand the anomalies in this picture. We could also see the block beneath the possible second entrance. We may learn about historic exploration by the Caliph Al-Mamun, and also learn more as to how the King's Chamber was constructed. It's another cheap and easy project, and there would be great interest in the results. So, whilst we're waiting to learn more about the Big Void, whilst we're waiting to find out what happens next with the North Face Corridor, here I've presented 7 low-cost and low-difficulty ways the Great Pyramid can be explored. Even if nothing exciting is discovered, each project would clear up a Great Pyramid mystery. Each would give us another piece of the puzzle and further our understanding of the last remaining wonder of the ancient world. Time flies, and all of this work is long overdue. So if the authorities really want to create a buzz and generate excitement around ancient Egypt to increase the level of tourism, well, the Great Pyramid should really be the focus. It's the monument we all want to learn more about, and here I've presented 7 things that could be done. And, in my opinion, there really is no time like the present. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.